It's 5:30. Our April 10th, 2023 meeting is now called to order. Want everybody please take a moment to silence your cell phones during this meeting. When addressing the council, the City Council encourages public participation. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. However, this time limit may be reduced if there are numerous speakers on a particular item. To ensure efficient proceedings, all persons addressing the City Council shall state their name and shall speak in a civil and courteous manner. Speakers shall address the agenda topic only to which they are speaking on, and shall not be repetitive. Members of the audience, please respect the rights of others and do not create noise or other disturbances so as to disrupt or disturb persons who are addressing the City Council, council members who are speaking, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of the meeting. All right, thank you for your attention to that matter. We are now going to have invocation and pledge of allegiance by our councilwoman at large. Will we all stand for a prayer? Let us pray. Tonight I want to read a prayer developed by Ted Torbeck. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of this community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the youth, young adults, and senior citizens of the city of Natchitoches. And continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. Councilwoman at large for that pledge. Next item on the agenda is the reading and approval of the minutes from our March 27, 2023 meeting.
Mayor, I make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes and that the minutes of March 27, 2023 be adopted if no corrections.
Okay, motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded to adopt the minutes as they have been recorded. Any public comment? Any comment, council? Comments or questions about that motion? Any public comments or questions about that particular motion? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a proclamation, and it's proclamation number 28 of 2023, and it's read by Councilwoman at large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation number 028 is a proclamation whereas National Child Abuse Prevention Month is an annual opportunity to raise awareness about issues surrounding child abuse and neglect and engage community members in the ongoing effort to keep children safe. And whereas CASA is one of a group of National Child Abuse Prevention Partner Organizations selected by the Children's Bureau to serve as partners in the National Child Abuse Prevention Initiative, and whereas the work of CASA and volunteers is crucial to preventing child abuse and ensuring that children live in safe and permanent environments where they can thrive, and whereas studies have indicated that children with a CASA volunteer are less likely to languish in long-term foster care, more likely to receive needed services, and less likely to re-enter the foster care system. And whereas child abuse prevention requires partnerships among federal, state, and local governments, faith-based and community-based organizations, schools, law enforcement, social service agencies, parents. And whereas during National Child Abuse Prevention Month and throughout the year, I encourage all citizens of Natchitoches to find ways to cherish our children, strengthen our families, work together to eliminate child abuse and neglect, and strive toward a shared dream in which every child is safe and happy. Now therefore, I, Ronnie Williams Jr., Mayor, and the Natchitoches City Council do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Natchitoches, and call upon all citizens to increase their participation in our efforts to prevent child abuse, which in turn will strengthen our community in which we live. This is signed by Mayor Ronnie Williams Jr. And Mayor, I move that adoption, proclamation number 02828 be adopted.
A second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. I know that not only myself, but also the city council, and I believe the adults in this room, it is our desire that every child is safe from child abuse. We do have with us today Mr. Jack Duty as, I want you to give your title in terms of with CASA, but won't you come forth with us, Mr. Duty, and just present what you have, and we're certainly happy to put this proclamation together. As you know, state your first and last name, and then you can share with us whatever you wish to.
Thank you, Mayor. Jack Duty, I'm the Executive Director of CASA of Central Louisiana, and I do want to thank the Mayor and the City Council for this proclamation as we try to continue to try to serve the abused and neglected children of Natchitoches, Red River, and Sabine parishes. We served 93 children last year, CASA, here, and looks like we're on track for about another 93 to 95 this next year. So I always refer to as the tip of the iceberg. You know, you might hear about it, but the vast majority of it's below the surface. It could be happening right next door to you and you not know it until the proverbial, you know what, hits the fan. But we're making a difference. We're going to continue to make a difference. I have some tremendous volunteers. They come from all walks of life, retired teachers, truck drivers. It's a phenomenal organization. We're one of 17 across the state. We're one of 980 across the nation. So it is a tremendous organization. And like I said, there are less time, if they have a CASA, they're scheduled to be in care less time than a child without a CASA. Also, their grades go up. So it's a tremendous organization. As always, the thing that we need volunteers. We need volunteers to actually work with the children. I'm going to be honest with you, it's not for everybody, but for somebody that feels the calling, get with us. We have an application, we have training, and my volunteers that have stuck with us said it's the most rewarding thing they have ever done in their life. If you can't volunteer, if your heart's just too big and it bothers you to hear about different stuff, about child abuse, neglect. Now, and not everything's a tragedy. It can be a simple neglect case, that somebody, mom and dad stubbed their toe and they just need a little direction, a little helping hand to get back on track. So it doesn't have to be something that you see on Netflix where somebody's getting sexually assaulted or beat or whatever. It can be, but fortunately that doesn't happen often. But if you can't volunteer, we can always use donations. And we have a couple different ways to do it. You can go online and read about us, and there's a donate button there that you can go to. We also have what we call the Pillars of CASA, where you can contribute as little as like $10 a month electronically, and that really helps us. It helps us form a base that we have, so that I don't have to spend $6,000 or $8,000 to put on a big event and then hope that I make $1 more than that $6,000 or $8,000. This way, it's not costing us anything to put it on. And so far, I started off with about 7 people. I got to about 12. We're up to about 37 people. And my goal is 100. And I think if everybody, $10 a day is about 33 cents a day. You can buy one Domino's pizza a month you can do without. And it's a worthwhile cause. If any of you have any questions, comments, we're at 1200 Kaiser Avenue, and we'd be most happy to come talk to any of your organizations about it, or anybody. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Duty, for your service, and not only you, but the other people in the CASA organization. This is certainly a worthy cause. Council, you got any comments or questions for Mr. Duty?
No, I just want to say, as a foster parent myself, I know the great work that CASA does, and it has been a great, tremendous help to me with, with my foster children over the years. And I just want to thank you for the work that you all do,
Thank you, Ms. Betty.
and I want to present you with this proclamation.
Before we do that, any public comments or questions? All right, seeing none, Mr. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that carries. We'll get a quick picture. Is it just you, Mr. Duty? Okay, she's not gonna be in it? No? Okay. We'll get you up here, Mr. Duty.
Jan?
We'll get you up. All right.
I never did move fast, but I'll find I'm moving slowly.
It comes the younger you get.
Okay. All right, man, thanks a lot to you. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Oh, yeah. Yes. All righty. Again, worthy cause. Next item on the agenda is another proclamation. It's proclamation number 29 of 2023. Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. Proclamation number 029 of 2023, a proclamation declaring Saturday, April 22nd, 2023 as Earth Day in the city of Natchitoches. Whereas Earth Day 2023, we need to act boldly, innovate broadly, and implement businesses, governments, and citizens, everyone accounted for and everyone accountable, a partnership for the planet. Whereas the objective is to recognize our collective responsibility and help accelerate the transition to an equitable, prosperous green economy for all. Whereas all people, regardless of race, gender, income, have a moral right to a healthy, sustainable environment with economic growth. Whereas enhancing and improving our green economy will require cooperation across sectors of society. We are all caretakers of our planet and have an obligation to combat climate change and environmental degradation, preserve the Earth's beauty as well as its resources. Whereas this obligation extends not only to today's caretakers, but also to future generations who will inherit our planet. April 22nd, 2023 marks the 53rd anniversary of Earth Day, and the City of Natchitoches is committed to building on the successes we have achieved so far and look to support the issue of environmental protection through local activism and raising local awareness. Furthermore, let's keep our city clean and join others in Love the Boot Week, April 17th through the 21st of 2023, and help organize or participate in litter cleanup or beautification events in our community during Love the Boot Week, April 20th, 2023, our state's week-long Earth Day initiative supported by the governor and lieutenant governor. I so move that resolution number 029 be adopted.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded to adopt this proclamation. As we heard Councilman P.T. read a couple of the lines dealing with litter and addressing litter, certainly it's one of those issues we have to be, it's not for the faint of heart. We can't be weary in it. There has to be some consistency. We've certainly taken some efforts to clean the streets. We involved the council with that to kind of recognize individuals who do a great job on their streets in terms of making sure the ditches are clean, the grass cut, litter is not there, not a prevalent issue there, even when it comes to things such as junk vehicles as well. We've had employee litter abatement. I think all departments remember that. We did that for about 9 months or so. And then even our summer youth employment, which we're gearing up for a second round, we'll say more about that a little bit later on. But a group of those employees work with the Public Works Department particularly to address litter. So it's one of those ongoing things, and we really get to put some attention to this. Randy, since this comes from your department, we do have Sharon Durham here. She's going to take the picture in just a minute because I think this is going to pass the council tonight. But Randy, do you want to speak to, I don't know if Sharon's prepared to speak to, but do you want to speak to what we've got going on in terms of the effort, specifically as it relates to Love the Boot Week?
Yeah, if okay, I'll make a few comments. Sharon's going to accept proclamation. As I said, the week of 17th through like the 22nd is Love the Boot Week. And while our department does all the farmers market activities, we actually do all the beautification efforts. We plant our share of new trees to help the environment. But generally, a major cleanup is planned for the 21st. And we'll mobilize at the Super One on the bypass, and we will spend our time along University primarily. I have a group of Coca-Cola bottling representatives coming in from Shreveport to participate. They've been very engaged in recent years of trying to show community support, and they approached me and asked if they could schedule something, so I coordinate all that together. So I think the city's doing an awful lot of different things that all are supportive of the concept of preserving our environment and our general planet that we survive on. And I just thought I'd give you a little background. Sharon will accept proclamation.
Okay, council, any comment, question about the proclamation? Any public comments or questions about this one? About this proclamation? Seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Peachy.
Yes.
Come on up, Ms. Sharon Durham. She works a lot in our farmers market, also Mayor's Health and Fitness Council. Does great with that. Next item on the agenda, number 3 of 4 proclamations, and it's proclamation number 30 of 2023. It's Councilwoman Washington Eli.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation, resolution number 30 of 2023, a proclamation declaring April the 23rd as Fair Housing Month in the city of Natchitoches, whereas the 55th anniversary of the National Fair Housing Law, Title Number 8 of the Citizen Right Act of 1968 during the month of April is occasion for all American individuals and collectively to redirect themselves to a principle of the freedom for the housing discrimination, whereas it exists, and whereas the law generates from the citizen critical, personal, limited, and freedom of choice, selective home, and whereas fair housing law has been passed by the state of Louisiana, implementation and the law required that the positive commitment, involvement, and support of each of our citizens. And whereas Department of Agency of the state of Louisiana and provide leadership to enforce to make fair housing not just for an ideal but an idol for our citizens. And whereas the mayor of the Mish and the rights of limited option of the city fairly chose a home will eliminate diminish the right of the limit of the option of all. Now for there be resolved, I, Ronnie Williams, Mayor and the City of Natchez hereby proclaim that the month of April 2023 is the Fair Housing Month. And I so move to pass number 30 of 2023.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded to adopt this proclamation, another worthy, noble proclamation that we're focusing on here tonight. Fair housing is really an important initiative, and again, something that we should highlight and focus on, and as best we can, make sure it's being implemented. This obviously is to commemorate that federal legislation in 1968. Don't know, council, we don't have anybody particular, but I do see Mr. J.W. is here. Mr. J.W., would you mind taking a picture with us if it's time when it's time to do that? Thank you, sir, on this Fair Housing Proclamation, and we'll give you the proclamation, so I appreciate that. Any comment? We don't have anybody speaking on this particular proclamation, but I don't know if there's an additional comment, council, that you have? Any public comments about this particular proclamation? Okay, seeing none. Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, Councilwoman Washington Eli and I will take a picture. Mr. J.W., thank you for agreeing to do it. Right, last proclamation of the night, number 31 of 2023, read by Councilman Harrington.
Proclamation 31 of 2023 is, whereas the Community Development Block Grant Program has operated since 1974 to provide local governments with the resources required to primarily meet the needs of low and moderate income persons. And whereas the Community Development Block Grant Program is among the few remaining federal programs available to address the needs of low and moderate income persons in small cities. And whereas the Community Development Block Grant Program has provided the state of Louisiana with important and flexible assistance to meet the needs of low and moderate income residents of small cities by funding sewer, water, and street improvement projects, economic development projects, and other public improvement projects. And whereas Congress and the nation acknowledge the critical value of the Community Development Block Grant Program and the significant projects that rely on its funds for support. And whereas the week of April 10th through 14th, 2023 has been reserved for recognition and appreciation of the Community Development Block Grant Program. Now therefore, I, Ronnie Williams Jr., Mayor, and the Natchitoches City Council do hereby proclaim April 10th through 14th, 2023 as National Community Development Week in the city of Natchitoches. I move to adopt number 31 of 2023.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded to adopt this proclamation. Community Development Director, again, I think there's some comment that you can provide about this Community Development Block Grant Program.
Thank you, Mayor. You'll notice the wording in the proclamation is all keying off of the Community Development Block Grant Program, which has been a huge method for us to fund our major projects the entire time I've been here. First thing I did in 1999 related to Alliance Compressor and closing out that block grant, which built the streets and provided infrastructure. So while over the years we've used that for our major projects primarily, because we typically would get $750,000 every 2 years, and we would take care of huge projects that would have strapped the utility budget and the general fund budget if we had to pay for them out of just regular proceeds, regular tax revenue. I might add that when Mayor Williams came on board, the first time we met, he looked at me and said, "What are you going to do for the west side?" And I threw out the Texas Street concept, and we started talking about how to move forward with making a huge difference in the community. So I think you see that under the current administration, there's just been a sort of the pyramid effect that we're covering so many more bases. The $17 million raise grant was just a massive home run. We've gotten the $5 million water sector. We're looking now at funding for a project to develop Ruta Gabriel and some service roads at the interstate. And while those things relate to our main infrastructure, the mayor also initiated some small grant programs which are helping individual business, and we intend to have one that would help the homeowners. And so in a way, it's the first time that we've ever really broadly tried to address a lot of the needs in the low to moderate areas of town. Nicole has worked very closely with all our grants, and Nicole, feel free to make any comments you would make, but I really think we've moved the city forward exponentially in the last 2.5 years.
Okay.
Additional grants that we've applied for were the Love Louisiana Outdoors LCDBG grant that we will award for Richardson Park.
Can you say that on the
Can you get to the
microphone?
mic, Nicole?
Yeah,
Yes.
he
Think
sits
people
close
need
to a
hear
mic. so-
that, yes.
So she's going to add those other community development block grant programs we are kind of targeting.
Nicole Gray, Grants Manager for the city. The additional grants that we've applied for through the LCDBG Office of Community Development grants, one of them is the Love Louisiana Outdoors grant that we were awarded for repairing and revitalizing Richardson Park. We also applied for the Public Facilities grant, which we haven't heard about, but hopefully we'll get that one. It's for street improvements on JCW Drive and some other streets in low-income areas. And then we also have another LCDBG grant coming up to help with demolition projects that the city is currently paying for out of our budget.
Right. Right. Council, any comments or questions?
No, I think they're doing a great job. We definitely need that demolition grant. And I just want to emphasize on what Randy said. I know going in, when I first got in, I discussed community development with Randy, and I know back on the previous administrations, a lot was not done on West Side. And I want to commend you now for taking to the initiative, you and the mayor, and cleaning up and doing some things on west side of town. So we're doing a great job, council.
Mm-hmm. Any other comment, council? Any public comment or question here? All right, seeing none, Mr. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Petrie.
Yes.
Oh, that carries? I forgot we got 4 here tonight. All right, so we'll do Randy, Nicole, come on, Councilman Harrington as well.
Come on, Randy.
No, I'm good. Are we sitting okay? Okay. Okay, yeah, I think that's right. All right, let's keep swimming for the fences. All righty, next item on the agenda is one ordinance that's up for final, and that's read by our Councilwoman at-large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 021 of 2023. This was introduced at the last meeting, but this is an ordinance extending the city limits of the city of Natchitoches, annexing a tract situated in Section 83, Township 9 North, Range 7 West, and Section 25, Township 9 North, Range 8 West, which is lying south of Rudy, said tract lying south of Rudy Gabriel and Louisiana Highway 6, and adjacent to the existing municipal limits of the city of Natchitoches, which is a total of 174 acres. And this was advertised in the newspaper previously, and so I move for adoption of ordinance number 021.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt this ordinance. Randy, I think, gave a pretty good explanation a couple weeks ago why this action was needed to happen at this particular time. One thing I believe I mentioned briefly is we're currently going through a master plan, and it's near completion, and there's going to be a public, it's ideas, it's going to be a public opportunity for comments and things like that, and before it's actually completed, so those comments can be added in and any adjustments can be made, and then it'll go to the completion part of it. But to the fact of building out infrastructure along that Highway 6 corridor, Route de Gabriel runs parallel with it. And so a couple of us actually are going to D.C. next week to advocate for some congressional funds that we apply for through our grant writers, quasi-lobbyists or whatnot. So it pretty much make this action necessary in order to get the earmark money that we're looking for. So we've seen, Kaiser Avenue is strong, thankfully, so is South Drive, and we see Texas Street as well. Really the last economic corridor that we have as the city limits currently exist is the Highway 6 corridor as that's continued to be developed. And so individuals who, like I said, the master plan architects, I think folks here with city staff and even our city engineer are 100% agreement that if we can build out Rue de Gabriel from where it stops just behind Park Natchitoches now all the way through Hayes Avenue, that'll be a spur for some more economic development. So it's pretty much why it's on the agenda at this particular time. Don't know if there are any questions or comments about this item at this point.
I see Mr. Brasada here. Are you here to speak on behalf of that?
He's on a different one. Yeah, he's
Okay.
on.
All right. But do we know at this time what all developments has been discussed for that?
Well, we know, I think everybody knows right now, next to Popeyes, you're seeing the land cleared. So not all of that is identified, but that one parcel of land is going to be like an urgent care that'll serve out that area. But just as we've seen over the years, that corridor has grown, and what's going to help it is, do some improved infrastructure. And there's some infrastructure dollars available now that just really hadn't been available in recent memory. So as we take advantage of it. Yeah, yeah, great. Any public comment or question about this particular item? Okay. Seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda, we have one ordinance for introduction, and it's going to be Councilman Harrington, I believe. Right? Oh, Councilman PT, I'm sorry. Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for introduction. Ordinance number 024-2023. An ordinance adopting the budget for the city of Natchitoches for the fiscal year June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024. Whereas the fiscal year of the city of Natchitoches is from June 1st through May 31st of each year, whereas the budget has been prepared by the finance director, Clarissa Brown Smith, and has been submitted by the mayor, Ronnie Williams Jr., to the city council for review and consideration. The general fund, this is dollar amounts, the general fund, $20,590,175. A utility fund, $49,038,082. Special and capital project funds, $26,090,876. Be it further ordained in accordance with LRS 39-1305 The following specifies the mayor's authority to make budgetary amendments without approval of the governing authority, as well as those powers reserved solely to the governing authority. And this is for introduction.
Yeah, introduction. And I will note, we'll say this again during announcements, but there's a public hearing, as there is every year. So any public comments or questions, there'll be an opportunity to have those on the 24th. So just in 2 weeks, but instead of 5:30 or 5 o'clock, it'll be at 4:30. The public hearing will. And what we provided the last 2 years for that public hearing, we have it again, the little kind of pamphlet to really break down where everything's going and all of that. But Clarissa, I don't know if there's any comment at this particular meeting that you feel you need to make.
What's the date?
The 24th,
4:30.
4:30. We'll say it again. We'll announce that again later on.
Only comments I have is that it was a very good budget process. Our main focus was looking at each department and seeing what their needs were that impacted the city in the most positive way possible. Of course, we had to address some inflation in prices. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we had, was to address that inflation. One particular department, of course, is utility, because the cost of electricity, the cost of supplies to sustain our sites and our power plant increased. So we worked really, really hard to make sure that we were able to meet any obligation there. Definitely committed to funding them to the appropriate level so that they can work efficiently. Of course, the rate increase was included in there, as well as everything that was attached to that, to make sure that that funding was noted duly in that. So, of course, we'll have the hearings if anybody has any specific questions. Council, you did receive the full budget itself, so you can definitely reach out before then if you would like, if you had any questions, but I think that's all my comments.
So council, study up on that. I know it's a
It's a big
It's a healthy document.
Yeah, it's a healthy document, so, but there may not be questions right now from the council or comments at this moment, but certainly as we get to that budget hearing, and then also everybody else as well, as we get to the budget hearing in just a couple weeks, we're having, we're certainly gonna have that budget hearing, okay? So again, I think you know how to reach out and email address, phone calls. Please utilize that throughout this 2-week process. Okay?
And you open it up to the public for you?
Yeah, certainly we'll announce this again later, but on the 24th.
Yeah.
On the 24th at 4:30. So we usually take more time for that. And that's what's been going on,
Yeah.
even before me. Okay? All right, so we got that said. We'll announce that again later on. Next item on the agenda is a resolution. We have 2 more resolutions left. This first one is read by Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 032 of 2023, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Natchitoches, Ronnie Williams Jr., to execute a 4th amendment to lease for water tower space to that lease agreement from the city of Natchitoches to Verizon entity to install additional equipment. And I so move that resolution number 032 be adopted.
Second.
All right, motion made, seconded. Matt, is there anything outside of the language of the resolution that should be stated here? Maybe not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, just to clarify, that's a lease we have for, on one of our water towers for cell phone antennas. What they're proposing is to change out some equipment. They're actually taking down more old equipment than they're installing new. So it's actually a reduction in the space that they actually lease, but there's no change. They're not asking to reduce the lease payment. So,
Okay.
good option for the city.
Good option? All right. Comments or questions, council? Public comments or questions here? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Last item on the agenda is a resolution read by Councilman Harrington.
This is resolution number 33 of 2023, which is a resolution providing notice of intention to levy and collect a 2% sales and use tax upon the sale at retail, the use, the lease or rental, the consumption and storage for use or consumption of tangible personal property and on sales of services in the Natchitoches Economic Development District D, State of Louisiana, and a hotel occupancy tax of 2% upon the fee or rent for occupancy of hotel rooms located within the district commencing on October 1st, 2023, in accordance with and is authorized by Part 2, Chapter 27 of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended, and authorizing the publication of a notice of intention to levy and collect such sales and use tax and hotel occupancy tax, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. I'll read by title only, will be explained further, and I'll move to adopt Resolution 33 of 2023.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. We already have Mr. Busada at the microphone. He knows how it works. Just the pictures are of the Mill District that we see there currently. We understand that Public Works occupies in some level several of those buildings there. Obviously, we see the Flying Heart Brewery, picture on the left, and then across the street, which will be including the district, is the L.H. Johnson Building. Mr. Busada.
Mike Busada, one small change that we do need to make a technical amendment to in the title. It refers to District D, and it will be District F. So we'll just need to make that.
Oh, it'll be F?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I apologize for that. It says F the rest of the way through. It's just that one section. But what this will allow us to do is to give notice of a resolution that will be considered by the district at the May meeting, May 8th, where the tax will be levied. The Economic Development District tax will be considered and levied. And so state law just requires us to pass a resolution allowing us to provide the notice of intent. That notice will go out. It will be published for the next 2 weeks. And then at that May 8th meeting, we'll come back and do the final adoption, which will be to levy the new Economic Development District taxes.
Okay. Now, Alex, I don't know if you caught that. I know you and Councilman Harrington were chatting about something, but Mike said that this is actually
F.
EDDF.
F, yeah.
And not D, so should that suffice just for the record?
Do we need to amend it?
On the legislation, Stacy says something different.
Just the title has D, and it needs to reflect F. The rest of the body says F. It's just a typo.
Yeah.
Could we just verbal
I
that
make a
out?
motion that we amend it to represent District F for the 2% levy,
Yeah, just to clear the record. I think
to
that
clear
could
the
do it.
record. Yeah. So we need a second.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to make the amendment to reflect instead of EDDD, EDDF. All right, comments, questions, council? Public comments or questions as to why this action is needed? Oh, to change it from? No, not that. Oh, okay. Oh, got you. All right. Yeah, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Peachy.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we got that cleared up. Mike, is there anything else? I
No,
know you
I
said
mean-
it's a step in the process, you'll be back May 8th.
May. So yeah, this is really just it's a non-substantive. This just allows us to publish notice in the paper to let people know that this will be considered in May 8th. And in May 8th, we'll have the full copy of the resolution levying the tax and go into detail in terms of what all that will be used for. I think it's going to be very exciting. The fact that not only will this affect the Mill District, but also Texas Street District, it is a really good economic development strategy, and I think it's going to be great for the city.
Yep. Council, you got any comments or questions for Mr. Busada at this time?
Yeah, I just have one quick, so the 2% tax would be revenue tax coming into the city, is what you're saying, right?
It'll go to the district,
Yes.
which is the city, which is governed by the city. You'd be the governing body of that district. And then 50% of that money would be utilized, would be reinvested in the Mill District. Another 50% of that money would be utilized and invested in the Texas Street Economic Development District through a cooperative endeavor agreement between the two districts. And that was something that we spoke with the property owners in the Mill District, and they really saw the value, as the city did, in making sure that economic development, all areas of the city are growing, all areas of the city are prosperous. And so it's really a real innovative way to make sure that you're spreading the equity growth throughout the city.
Yep.
And to be clear, this 2% tax, sales and use tax, is only collected in those districts.
Correct,
In those
correct.
districts.
So if you go, if you go and, right now, it's just a brewery, but it's growing and it's hoping to grow. If you go buy pizza and beer, there's gonna be a 2% sales tax
Increase, right.
for this.
And again, we met with all the property owners there, primarily the brewery, and others that are looking to move there, and had full support on that. They see the benefit of having that to really develop that into a world-class, venue for citizens.
Yeah, as I said, hotel rooms and all of that.
Yeah, so it would be a 2% sales tax and a 2% hotel occupancy tax to the extent that there's ever a hotel built in that area.
Okay.
And there have been master plans or at least conceptual ideas. We've talked about these before for the Mill District area of what that area could be. And this is why we tied into another thing in terms of Texas Street, which is moving public works out of that area. That's what we believe can help to grow it, free up that space. Also, I think I should note that we had a feasibility study put on. So, we're not just kind of shooting from the hip, feasibility study, and this was the next step to say, from that study, a Baton Rouge firm, CSRS did it. I think they're well known throughout Louisiana and maybe some other states, but to then recommend the next step is the EDD. And as we're trying to even attract investors to this area to help to develop those buildings into something that we could, this community can really benefit from. So, don't know if they, council, I don't know. I know
So
a
do we
couple
have
comments.
any developments that's coming in that area?
She asked if any developments. Mike and I have talked about some things
Yeah.
that certainly we like to see in terms of some needs that we have here that I think are pretty glaring. And I think I can say as much as, youth entertainment is one area we hope to really develop in this area more so, whatever that may mean, whatever that may be. I know people often say, well, Natchitoches doesn't have this or that. These type of incentive tools will help us to get, it's designed to help us to get, some of that, this or that. It's what we did to the River South Commons, and we were able to get Big Lots and Bales and Harbor Freight. Yeah, and previously done with Hobby Lobby as well. Absolutely. We wouldn't have got,
I can
we
tell you,
wouldn't have got it
Mayor,
without
too,
it.
that, as I've always said, Natchitoches has really been on the forefront of economic development. That's why I think you see where there are a lot of cities the size of Natchitoches that aren't having the same growth that y'all are having. Because you're always out on front, you're always looking at the next, for the next opportunity. And I will say, without saying more than I legally can say, but I was with an executive from a major company last week and was talking, and I brought up Natchitoches. And I said, anytime you're looking to grow, you ought to look at Natchitoches. And the person looked at me and said, I must get a call at least once a week from the mayor and from Randy Lacaz. We know where Natchitoches is, and we promise that if there's an opportunity, we're going to be there. And the fact that this person knew Natchitoches, knew both of you by name, just goes to show the citizens that y'all are working it is better than anybody.
Look, we certainly appreciate that. Any public comments or questions here? Okay. And thank you, Mike, for hanging around a bit. That may be something you can answer. Mm-hmm.
My name is Precious Barber for the record. I want to ask, with this tax increase, is it the same as others in the city, or would this tax be higher in this area than others in the city?
You want to handle that, Mike? I think you kind of touched on it earlier.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. No, I want to get an understanding. I don't care if you did say it.
Okay.
I don't understand.
That's okay. Come on. Mike's going to answer.
Yeah, there would be.
I wasn't talking to y'all. I know who I was talking to. I wasn't talking to y'all.
In this district, there would be a higher tax rate in that, just in the district, and that money would be used to be reinvested back within the district, and part of it would be used to be reinvested in the Texas Street Economic Development District.
Okay. So it will affect the consumer that purchased from that area?
Yes.
So it'll be a higher tax for them?
And one of the key piece about it, and the reason that this is utilized is, if it's not for that extra revenue, if you don't have that extra tax, then the area tends to stay undeveloped or underdeveloped. And so the thought is, if you don't have the extra tax, you're not going to have the extra venues anyway. And so if you're somebody that says, look, I don't want to go somewhere new, I don't want to pay the higher tax, then you have the ability not to do that. But if you don't have the higher tax, there wouldn't be that opportunity there anyway. And so you wouldn't have that opportunity if you didn't have the higher tax. And so it's really a choice that everybody gets to make.
Okay, because I'm knowing that some of the people that go to these venues, they are college students. So I was just asking, will they be affected? Yeah, like they 21, and so they do, see Harrington knows I'm not, they're 21 years old, so they go to these areas, and I'm knowing that with college students and fees and this such a thing, that taxes, them not knowing, okay, now when you go to the brewery, it's going to be a little bit more higher than what you used to. And so I'm just making sure that the public has received this information with emphasis on college students or those who are 21 and up to know, okay, now when you go over here, it's going to be a little higher than if you go downtown and drink you a beer. And so that's what I was just trying to make sure that it's an understanding amongst the public.
Thank you, ma'am. And then, Mike, I think you could say, too, it,
Give some math on what a 2% increase would look like for, let's say, a $15 tab.
Oh, now you're excuse me. Now you're putting me on the spot. So don't double check my math there.
30 cents.
But you're looking 30 cents. Yeah, 30 cents.
and look, it does have a sunset, right?
Well, that will be on the next piece of legislation.
Okay,
So we don't have
gotcha.
it on there yet.
I got you. Okay. I think we got another question here.
Yes, my name's Craig Annis, and seeing this tax is going to be shared with the Texas Street Corridor, is the tax going to be applied to them also? It seems that should be the way to do it.
It is,
It's-
it is.
Yeah, that was part of the discussion was that Texas Street is going to go all in as well. But as you know, there's not as much foot traffic. I mean, really everybody, every major developer, every major entity, they want to be by the interstate, which is great. But you also want to make sure that the center of your city has as much commerce and activity. And so, the farther away you get from the interstate, the less and less the national, brands want to come because they just see what the foot traffic is and they're running their models and they don't see it. And so this is a way to make sure that in the interim, we can help rebuild some of that foot traffic in areas that haven't seen it as much.
And being that it doesn't matter if it's 5 cents, 10 cents, 30 cents, everybody is not on the same level of pay grade. So when it comes to Texas Street, will this be the whole Texas Street, or this will be just a partial Texas Street where we get the increased tax, or how is it? Can someone answer the question?
Mike could do that again.
Yeah, it would just be in the district, and we can provide you a map of the district, but it's basically just a small portion
Of Texas Street?
Just a very small portion where we've got a developer that's willing to come.
So not the whole street.
Yeah, so it's not the whole street, it's just a few parcels, and basically the developer has said that they want to bring in some additional brands there to provide some additional options there, but they do need this in order to make it economically feasible.
And thank you for your transparency, because sometimes we miss that in government. And once again, it doesn't matter if it's 5 cents, 10 cents, 30 cents. Everyone is not on the same pay grade. And so I just thank you for being truthful and transparent. Thank you.
Ms. Basada, I think what she's trying, would this affect those who are brought into the historic district, more or less? This 10%, this 2% of, you're saying a portion of Texas Street?
Well, he wasn't in on the historic district information. I
Yeah.
don't think you knew all of that.
Yeah.
But no, currently how the historic district has been drawn, it would not be in the historic district.
It won't be those businesses.
Right. It won't be.
Yeah, and we can provide another map too, but I mean, this is just basically a few parcels in a particular area where we've got a developer that's come to us and said, hey, we want to provide some additional opportunities, some additional resources to this community, but we do need these economic incentives to make it economically viable.
Yeah, I know we've talked about some businesses that we're looking at bringing
Yes, ma'am.
onto Texas Street, so I was, okay.
Absolutely. And the thought is too, that right now there are no businesses.
Right.
And so, some people say, well, you're going to increase our taxes
Small
4%.
amount of businesses.
Right, but at this
Small amount.
particular area,
Yeah.
Okay.
this land's vacant. And so,
Okay.
people come in and they say, well, you're going to have an additional 2-cent sales tax. Well, right now, there's no business there anyway. So there's nowhere, and there hasn't been, and the developer in the neighborhood is saying, hey, in order for us to bring in a tenant here, we've got to have this additional money that we can reinvest. And so it's the difference between, do you want to pay 2 cents and have a new venue, or not pay 2 cents and not have a venue anyway? You know, so it's the same either way.
Yeah, catch-22, okay.
Okay, all right. I think we have another question in the back. Ms. Thompson, will you come forward to the microphone?
Deborah Thompson. Is there a limit on 5 years, 10 years, however long this is going to be? Was it in the ordinance? It was in there?
Yeah, Mike, yeah, that's that sunset piece of it.
Right, that will be in the next resolution that we'll have on May 8th, but that hasn't been determined yet.
Okay.
So that will be in the resolution that we take up at the May 8th meeting.
Okay, we passed it already, but I just want to ask a question about the budget meeting. Is there going to be some public way for everybody to see what's in the budget? You've got a great big binder there.
Oh, yeah, that's what
Yeah, there will be what we,
Before the meeting.
Yeah,
Before the meeting.
she'll address it.
well, we'll have what we call the public's budget, and it'll be a modified little pamphlet, pretty much, of what that is.
But that's the day of the meeting.
No, that's not, what I was gonna say, I was gonna finish the statement. That's okay. I will try to get that out, at least, it doesn't take but a week, so once we've presented it today, as far as an introduction, we'll have that out at the beginning of next week. You can come by and, get one of those. I don't know if we've ever publicized that in the journal. I don't think that it'll be a huge deal, to publicize it.
Natchitoches Times we did, I know.
Go ahead.
Once it's approved, you can, it'd probably be on the website where you can view it. But right now, they're in the process of approving the budget. So until then, you'll have it after it's approved.
So I will have an opportunity to see it when? Not at the meeting at 4:30 on 2 weeks from now. When would I be able to see what the projected budget is?
I thought she was talking about the entire budget.
Yeah, so when just to clarify, he was saying that we could not put it in the paper, the entire budget, but we can have the pamphlets available to you before the meeting, so if you would like to come by and get a pamphlet, you can have those. You can get my number after, if that's okay, and you can contact me, so you'll know exactly when it's ready, so you don't make any blank trips. Yes, ma'am, no problem.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, thank you, Mike.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Do we have a second? I didn't catch it. We got a
Second, yeah, we did, on the, changing of the
first?
section.
Yeah, so now we're just passing the
I think-
resolution. So we have a second,
Yeah.
Ms.
I think
Smith,
it was-
okay.
I think we did have a sec.
We did.
I want to say the Councilman Harrington
I made the motion.
made the motion. Yeah, but can we get a second now?
Chris, okay. Second,
Okay, we got a second now. All right. Roll call vote.
Eli,
yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes. All right, that motion carries. All right, we've got a few announcements. Again, we've talked about the budget hearing. Our next meeting is Monday, the 24th of April, but the budget hearing is going to be at 4:30. All right? So we'll do that. We'll basically just go through the pamphlet, may have a presentation that shows on the screens, and take questions and things of that nature, okay? Always encourage people to download the Regroup app for emergencies. I've been saying this lately, and I'm happy that we haven't had to really use it, but we do have it available. And it's one of those things that becomes helpful when you are in the middle of a crisis like we've seen with Laura and Ice Storm and things like that. Always download the app if you want to know what's going on. We're going to have a few flyers that we're going to show you, but there are really a lot of things going on. And so download that app to know what's going on. All right, there's a few more slides real quickly. Our summer youth employment, this is going to be the second summer we're doing this. We've already started taking applications. We have gotten that out on our social media accounts. We'll continue to hit those up as well. So it tells you where to drop off the application or even apply online to do that. And I think we had a really productive group last year. About I guess about 5 departments participated. So I think that really worked out for us. All right, so encourage folks to do that. Looks like we have the 49th Annual Melrose Arts and Crafts Festival on the 15th of April, Saturday, and then Sunday, the 16th of April. So that's always something that's well attended. People from throughout the area go and attend that. Really cool things that you can purchase that are made, handmade by individuals. This is something that's relatively new, but if you haven't gone, you've missed out. I think they're doing a really good job organizing this. They're calling it the St. Denis Fest, and there's food, music, shopping, great fun. Any one of the local food trucks they have set up there. So pizza, even crawfish you can purchase. So really cool thing to bring some kind of attention on St. Denis. So I think that's great. And so it's every second Saturday from 10 to 5 downtown Natchitoches. All right, Farmers Market is getting ready to get started back. Our first one is going to be the 22nd, which is Earth Day, coincidentally. And they have a theme. Each of these jump into the spring. So it's something, for kids to do really at a lot of these farmers markets. So it's really a great thing. It looks like we're from 10 to 2. That's a little different, right, Randy, right? It says 10 to 2. Is that correct? It's supposed to be 8 to 12. They're normally all 8 to 12. I saw 10 to 2 there. I didn't know.
It has been 8 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
And if they did slide it back, it would be something that recently was discussed. I'm not sure where that slide came from.
Okay. I thought, anyway, we'll just clarify. But we know that's coming up on the 22nd. We'll try to get clarification and certainly get it out on the social media. And maybe one or two more, Steve, I think. Yeah, we really want to promote this, get more people out to this. It's a 3-mile bike ride. We're using the same route. We have one coming up this Sunday, April 16th at 2:30. So come on, let's get out there, ride our bike as we're trying to promote some health and fitness. It's a small way to do it, but I think it's certainly a worthwhile way to do that, to get some health and fitness going. So every third Sunday, but we'll be there. This is the third Sunday coming up at 2:30. And then we announced this, the Juneteenth Freedom Festival. Mark your calendars for June 17th. Vendors are wanted for the pop-up shop. That's going to be an addition to this year that's different from last year. So we're just, any contacts, you give folks information. You have the contact information of Mrs. Clarissa Brown-Smith there at the bottom of the communication. We'll share that again this week and get it to our local media so they can share and folks can know about that. And then this is another one. I think we're going to have a pretty well-known artist, but we're waiting to secure that. But I think that's going to be something that we're going to enjoy. A free festival, totally free. And like we said, the basketball tournament starting. And if you weren't there last year, I was killing everybody in basketball. Now, I did hit 1-3. I did hit 1-3. So. But we had a really good time with that, and we want to bring that back this year. I think that was a big hit. The pop-up shops at 2 p.m., and then the Freedom Festival with artists, local artists, and the headline artists, fireworks, food vendors, jumping for the kids, and all kind of things like that. So just wanted to be bigger and better this year. All right, I think that might be it. That's it. Okay. All right. So a lot of announcements, a mouthful. We'll see you all in a couple weeks at 4:30 for the budget hearing. This time, council, we'll hear a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.